Hello everyone. So Fig and I went on a little camping trip together, which was really nice, and there were some very wonderful highlights and some surprising moments of missing the rest of my family and loneliness. So the first thing I did when I got to camp was set up the hammock. I had a hard time getting the height just right, as you can see in this video. It was too low and then too high where I had to hop down, and then finally just right, kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So when I got there, it was already late afternoon, and I set up camp. I took Fig on a little walk. I didn't want to commit to a long hike because I was worried about a thunderstorm rolling in or it just getting too dark. So I went on a little walk, got back to camp. I played some ukulele. I read my book. I ate some dinner, which was a very last minute random foods sort of meal in which I ate a can of dolmas, some pistachio nuts, some freeze-dried strawberries, and a meat stick. It was very simple. I kind of wished I had at least brought like a little soup that I could just add hot water to. But alas, I wanted to not overcomplicate this overnight trip. So I decided to sleep in my car, which was the first time experiencing that, and actually it was really quite comfortable, except that Fig, who likes to sleep on his own, felt a little crowded, and when I moved in the night, he would wake up and growl at me and let me know that he didn't appreciate that I was intruding on his space. But we'll get the hang of it, I'm sure. This is one of the coolest camp chairs that we have, and they're so nice and they're easy to put together and they're really beautiful. And I feel like these camp chairs will last forever, which is quite nice. The company that makes this is Kermit Chair, by the way. So I think the evening was just one of those restless kind of experiences. I went on a second walk as the sun was setting with Fig, and it was during this time that I was surprised to feel so much missing of my partner and Bean, and I had wished they were there to share this beautiful space with me. I wished I could enthuse with Brian about the water that I had discovered, which was a surprise because it's been such a dry year. And I guess I just didn't expect to be hit with that kind of missing my family. I used to camp all the time by myself and never really think much about it. And so this was the first time in a long time that I've camped alone, and it just, yeah, I was surprised by the loneliness. My new Red Wing boots are fantastic. I'm so excited. I have been in search of a new pair of hiking boots for the last couple of months, and I had very specific requirements. I wanted them to be leather, I wanted them to have hooks at the top, I wanted them to have a very minimal sole that was still grippy enough to not slip around. I wanted them to be able to like form to my foot. I would have loved the idea of them being resolable. And I looked high and low. I wanted something really minimal. Turns out what I wanted is seen a lot in a fashion boot, but not a hiking boot. And so it was quite an adventure trying to find the right boot. And then I passed a Red Wing store one day and started doing some research. And I was like, oh my goodness, I think this is exactly the boot I want. And sure enough, it checked all of the boxes, and I'm so excited. So here's just some reading in the hammock time, which is always nice, but again, I still felt restless. Even though I forced myself to read a couple of chapters, I was just feeling a little bit uneasy. The next morning was wonderful, though. I made a cup of coffee in my French press, and then Fig and I went on a hike that was somewhere between 6 and 7 miles, and up a peak, and it was beautiful, and there was a storm that rolled in, although we missed the rain. But it felt good to stretch our legs and get our lungs and heart working, although admittedly going downhill after such a steep climb was unpleasant on one of my knees. And then at the very end, we decided to check on a spring in the nearby area, which was a drive all the way up to the top of the mountain. And it was dry, which was so sad. I mean, there was a little bit of water at the bottom, but it wasn't coming out of the pipe like it normally does. I was expecting to go up there and refill all of my water bottles with wonderful spring water. But like I said before, it's been an extremely dry year, so we are noticing all around Arizona that, at least in southern Arizona where we've been exploring, that has been the case with a lot of our springs and creeks, and it's sad. I know it's just a part of the cycle, but still hoping for a really wet summer. We've gotten 2 sprinkles now, I think, and I'm hopeful. It looks promising, but we'll see. Can you hear the cicadas in the background? That buzzing drone. That is a sign that it is summer and it is hot. When I left Tucson for this trip, I think it may have been 108, if I remember correctly. And when I arrived at camp an hour and a half away, it was 69 degrees. Just perfect. And then in the night, I think it probably cooled down to the low or the mid 50s. And then the next day for our hike, it stayed in the 60s all morning. It was wonderful. I think Fig appreciated it as well. And then I came home tired, but appreciative, even though there were some highs and lows on the trip. I'm glad I did it. I'd like to do more of it. Thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next video.